This is the last example, example 3 for lesson 9-6. We are, in example 3, factoring out a monomial first. So we're still going to use the same method we used in example 1 and example 2, except that there's something we can factor out before we factor it into the two binomials. So in this case, since we can tell these numbers are all kind of big, they probably all have something in common. Let's see if we can find the GCF first. So the first thing is to find the GCF. So I have 18x squared, 33x, and 30. And I'm just going to find all the factors of 18. So 18 would be 2 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3 times x times x. 33 would be 3 times 11 times x. And 30 would be 3 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. Now they all have something in common. They all have this 1, 3 in common. They don't all have an x, and they don't have any other numbers in common. Therefore, their GCF is 3. Now, a couple lessons ago, we did this. We found the GCF, and then we factored out, or factored out GCF. So that's what we're going to do here. So I have 3 times what would give me 18x squared plus 33x minus 30. Well, it's really quite simple. You just take whatever's left over. So 3 times 2 times 6 times x would give us 18x squared. 2 times 3 is 6, times x, 6x squared. Then 3 times 11x, so plus 11x, would give us 33x. And finally, negative 30 is our last term, so 3 times 10 would give us negative 30. So there it is. We factored out the GCF, but now we can still factor 6x squared plus 11x minus 10 with the same method we've been using on example 1 and example 2. So I have 3 times, and now I'm going to split this out or spread it up, 6x squared plus 11x minus 10, and we're going to FOIL O plus I and L, just like we've been doing in all our other examples. So I need to find the factors of 6 and the factors of negative 10. Now, since it's a negative 10, I know I have to have one negative, one positive. Since the middle's positive, I know I want my my larger number to be positive so that I end up with a positive in the middle. So I'll start with 6, 1 times 6, then 10, 1 times 10. And remember, we want our larger number to be positive, so I'll put the number on the negative on the 1. So I have outer 1 times outer 10 plus inner 6 and negative 1, 6 times negative 1. 1 times 10 is 10, 6 times negative 1, negative 6 and 10 gives us a positive 4. So we'll try switching these since that didn't give us the number we wanted. We'll do 10 times negative 1. So outer 1 times negative 1 plus inner 6 times 10. 6 times 10 is 60. 1 times negative 1, negative 1, so we get 59. Also doesn't work, way too big. So let's try some more factors of 10. 2 times 5 would give us 10. Remember, we want our larger number to be positive, so our middle is positive, so I'll put the negative on the 2. And we'll use 1 times 6 again, so outer 1 times 5 plus inner 6 times negative 2. 1 times 5 is 5, 6 times negative 2, negative 12, and 5, negative 7. So let's try switching these. 5 times negative 2, 1 outer times negative 2 outer plus 6 inner times 5 is on the inside equals 6 times 5 is 30, 1 times 2, negative 2, 30 and negative 2, that's 28, also doesn't work. We've exhausted all of our factors of 10 of negative 10 with our factors of 6. So let's try some new factors of 6. Instead of 1 times 6, we'll try 2 times 3. We'll try 2 times 3 again with negative 1 times 10 first. So outer 2 times 10 plus inner 3 times negative 1. 2 times 10 is 20. 3 times negative 1, negative 3. So that's positive 17. closer, but still doesn't work. So now let's try switching these. 10 times negative 1, so outer 2 times negative 1, plus inner 3 times 10. 30, negative 2, so that's 28, which also doesn't work. Now we'll try our next two factors of negative 10. Negative 2 times 5, outer 2 times outer 5, plus inner 3 times inner negative 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times negative 2, negative 6. Negative 6 and 10 is 4. Still doesn't work, so I'll switch these. 5 times negative 2. So now I have outer 2 times outer negative 2 plus inner 3 times inner 5. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 and negative 4. Finally, we get our desired result of 11. So here are the factors we're going to use. So my binomials are 2 is outside and also first. So here it would be outside and first, so 2x. Then negative 2 is outside and also last. So outside and last would be here. 3 is inside and first, so 3x here, inside and first. 5 is inside and also last, so here plus 5, inside and last. Most importantly, though, do not forget this 3 right here. If you FOIL this out, you will not end up with what you started with of 18x squared plus 33x minus 30 unless you have the 3 here. That 3 is part of your answer. So here's your whole answer. Do not forget that original factor that you pulled out, 3. And again, if you FOIL this out, 2x times 3x, 6x squared, 2x times negative 2, negative 4x, 5 times 3x, 15x, negative 4x and 15x, that's the 11x, and 5 times negative 2, negative 10. So you get that, and then you multiply all this times 3, you end up with 18x squared plus 33x minus 30. Let's try another. Quick check 3a, so we're factoring again. I noticed just by looking at it that they're all even numbers, so I know I can pull out a 2. So let's see, the GCF, you can write them down if you want, 2v squared, 12v, and 10. But some of you won't have to write it down. You'll know immediately the GCF is 2. This is 2 times v times v. 12 is 2 times 2, which is 4 times 3 times v. 10 is 2 times 5. So we see the only thing they have in common is a 2. Therefore, their GCF is 2. So we have 2 times the trinomial v squared minus 2 times 3 is 6 times v, 6v plus 5. And you know that if you distribute your 2, you end up with 2v squared minus 12v plus 10. So these are equal to each other. Now we're going to take this and spread it out. 2 times v squared minus 6v plus 5. First, outer plus inner, and last. We need to get a negative in the middle here. Since this is a positive number here, to get a positive number, I either have to do a positive times a positive, that gives me a positive, or a negative times a negative, which will also give me a positive. And if I do a negative times a negative, then I can also end up with a negative in the middle. So I'm going to have to use negative factors for 5. So first of all, my number in front of the v is just 1. You know, there's that imaginary 1 there. So obviously the only factors of 1 are going to be 1 times 1. That makes that easy. But for 5, remember, we have to use both negative numbers, so we end up negative times a negative is a positive here, but we can end up with a negative in the middle. So I'll start with negative 1 times negative 5, outer 1 times negative 5, plus inner 1 times negative 1. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 and negative 5, well, would you look at that? First try, and we get negative 6. So there are numbers we're using for a binomial. Again, don't forget that 2. So it's 2 times the binomials, 1 outside and first. So I have 1v, which is just v. Negative 5 outside and last, so it goes over here. 1 on the inside, and that also came from first, so again, v here. and then negative 1 was inside and also last, so there's our negative 1, and there's your answer. Again, you can FOIL it out to check it. All right, let's try one more and we'll be finished with this last example. So again, we want to pull out that GCF first. I have 18k squared, 12k, and 6. 18 would be 2 times 9, which is 2 times 3 times 3 times k times k. 12, 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 times k. And 6, 2 times 3. So it looks like they all have a 2 and they all have a 3, which means that our GCF is 6. So we're going to be pulling out a 6 first, times, and then what's left? 3k squared. 6 times 3k squared, 18k squared, minus, because that minus there, 2k. 6 times 2k is 12k, and then finally minus 6 times, oh, there's nothing left there, so 6 times 1. 6 times negative 1 gives us negative 6. Now I'll spread it out. 6 times 3k squared minus 2k minus 1. First, outer plus inner, and last. Our factors of 3 are 1 times 3. Those are the only factors of 3 that we can use. Okay, look here, we've got those negatives again. So to get a negative, remember we need to do a positive times a negative to end up with a negative. Which one has to be larger? In order to get a negative in the middle, we need our negative to be the larger number to get a negative in the middle. So I'm going to do, oh, you know what? And does it even matter since it's a 1? No, it doesn't. So we'll just do negative 1 times 1. And then if that doesn't work, we'll try it the other way. So outer, 1 times 1, plus inner, 3 times negative 1. 3 times negative 1, negative 3, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus negative 3, there's our negative 2. Ta-da! We're done right there. Set up your binomial. Don't forget your 6 times your binomial. So 1 is on the outside and also first. So I have just a k here. Then 1 is on the outside and it's last. So I have a 1 over here. 3 on the inside and first. Ooh, inside and first. And then negative 1 on the inside and last. Negative 1. And there, ooh, let's add another sign there. There's your answer. Again, you can FOIL to check it. That's it for this lesson 9-6. If you need more examples, see your book.